much, Mr. Chairman. Before I address the bills, let me just thank you for opening our hearing in such an appropriate way in memory of our dear departed colleague, Mr. Hastings. Today's hearing covers two bills coming out of the Education and Labor Committee. The first bill I'll address is H.R. 7, is known as the the Paycheck Fairness Act. Unfortunately, this bill is a very blunt instrument being used to address a complex issue. It's a bill written by trial lawyers for the benefit of trial lawyers and will ultimately end up causing much bigger problems for employers and employees alike. The Paycheck Fairness Act is intended to address the gender pay gap, which reveals that on average, women receive lower pay than men. But the causes of this problem are deeply complex and results from a wide variety of factors not addressed by today's legislation, including decisions made by individuals about educational paths, career choices, and whether to leave the workforce to raise children. Attributing the entirety of this complex problem to workplace discrimination is simply not warranted. If the majority's goal is to ensure that it is illegal for an employer to pay employees differing salaries based on gender, then they're in luck. That's already the law of the land. Since the passage of the Equal Pay Act in 1963, gender-based wage discrimination has been illegal in the United States, as it should be. But today's bill goes much further than the Equal Pay Act, and it does so in a way that will only benefit one specific class of people, trial lawyers, at the expense of working women. The Paycheck Fairness Act makes changes to the Fair Labor Standards Act to make it harder for employers to present a bona fide factor defense to a claim of wage discrimination. It substantially increases the monetary damages that are available for such claims, including penalty mechanisms and punitive damages. With these increased damages and reduced ability to offer a defense, employers could be subjected to nearly unlimited damages, even for inadvertent or unintentional pay disparities. And since lawyers who bring lawsuits under the Equal Pay Act are allowed to recover a reasonable attorney's fee, which can be a percentage of the recovery, the enhanced damages provide strong incentive for lawyers to bring such claims, whether they are warranted or not. This is a recipe for a massive increase in litigation without corresponding benefits for working women. The Paycheck Fairness Act may be well-intentioned, but it is ultimately an overly simplistic solution to a complicated issue, and it will ultimately cause more harm than good. I strongly urge the majority to rethink this course. The second item I'll address is H.R. 1195, the Workplace Violence Prevention for Healthcare Social Services Workers Act. The bill is intended to address workplace violence for healthcare workers and social service workers and to ensure that OSHA issues an appropriate regulation to address the problem, which is, as the chairman said, a very real problem. As the hearing in the Education and Labor Committee demonstrated, there's still clear disagreements about this bill, and in particular, Republicans on that committee have expressed concerns that this bill is overly prescriptive and will force a truncated regulatory process that may not be appropriate. While I'm supportive of this bill, quite frankly, I would also be supportive of the Republican alternative as proposed during the markup. I look forward to hearing from my colleagues both about this bill and the proposed Republican alternative during the hearing today. But let me reiterate, I agree with the chairman. This is a very real problem, and I'm pleased that both sides, frankly, have ideas about how to address it. Hopefully, we can work through that and end up with a good solution. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
All right, thank you very much. The gentleman yields back. I'd like to welcome our witnesses to provide testimony on H.R. 7.